Police are investigating the deaths of two Chinese graduate students at the University of Southern California, Ming Chu and Ying Wu. Sometime around 1 a.m. on Wednesday, while they were sitting in a car outside Wu's home, a gunman opened fire, killing both. Chu tried to run for help and was found collapsed on a nearby porch.
The family members of the victims were not in court. We talked to one member of the Chinese national media who said they talked to them recently, and they have still yet to come to terms with how it was that their two children ended up being murdered after they sent them to the United States to get an education. Now, as background, once again, the two individuals, Chinese nationals Ming Ku and Ying Wu, both 23, were engineering grad students at USC. They were shot and killed while sitting in Ming Ku's BMW about a mile off campus in April of 2012. It was a case that received national attention here in the U.S. and across China. Police arrested two men. One of them, Javier Bolden of Palmdale, 19 at the time of the attack, was later recorded by a jail cell informant admitting to the shooting, saying the Chinese couple appeared to be easy targets for a robbery. Bolden said he made up that story, but the jury didn't believe him.
This, the crime scene last month, just about a mile off the campus of USC. The BMW still right in the middle of the street. The students were inside when they were shot dead. We now know the motive, robbery. Robbery is what led to this double killing. The 20-year-old Brian Barnes, they pick him up South L.A. The 19-year-old Javier Bolden, they pick him up in Palmdale. We're told forensic evidence, i.e. shell casings, material evidence, something they took from the victims, ties both of these suspects to this double killing. And if that's not bad enough, listen to this. Both of these creeps also wanted for two other attempted homicides in the city. A very big arrest, a very important arrest. That from the city's top cop. Here, listen.
Without being faced by vicious criminals.
Vicious criminals, vicious crimes. A picture of both of these students, USC international students from China. They were both grad students. They were both studying engineering. They will forever both be 23 years old. The lady was sitting in the driver's side. She was shot dead there. The man is shot. He's able to get out of the car and take a few steps on the sidewalk before he drops dead. But now investigators, as we come back out live, say they are sure they have the two right guys here. They have the trigger man, and they are very relieved they have these two dangerous people off the streets tonight.
Jing Liu is with Sinovision Television, which has been covering this trial from the start.
All the stories about this case got a lot of attention from our viewers since the victims are Chinese students. And people are caring about the safety of Chinese students, especially who are coming from China, starting here.
The murder prompted calls for increased security around the USC campus by a Chinese student community, which suffered another violent loss this past July when a grad student was murdered while he was on his way back to his off-campus apartment after a night of studying. 4 individuals have been arrested and charged with murder as a result of that case, another case which will be followed carefully, particularly by the Chinese media, which continue to ask the question whether it's safe to send Chinese foreign students across to the United States.
Chuck, these parents really wanted the death penalty. They felt that when they sent their children here to USC, they put all their hopes on them, and those hopes vanished when their children were murdered. They felt that a sentence of life in prison is just not fair. Ming Chu's father talked about the bright future of Chu and his girlfriend Ying Wu, two USC grad students that he said were going to make outstanding contributions. He called their killers evil and demanded an apology.
We demand the two murderers to apologize to us in person, to bring some comfort to our two children who are in heaven today.
That apology never came at today's sentencing hearing for 22-year-old Javier Bolden. Bolden sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The same sentence handed down to 22-year-old Brian Barnes. Both of them convicted of the shooting death of Chu and Wu as they sat in a parked car near the USC campus in April of 2012.
Our two outstanding children are now gone, but the vile monsters who took their lives are still alive today.
Chu's father talked about the declining health of several family members since the murders. Outside the courtroom, he urged other parents to be careful about sending their children to other countries.
We would also like to remind the parents of these students to consider the various risk factors and be conscious in sending your kids overseas.
Throughout the sentencing, Bolden did not show any emotion. He was reprimanded by the judge for his lack of remorse and for smiling as Chu's father poured out his grief and anger.
You should be hanging your head in shame like Tom Dooley. You have nothing to smile about.
USC has beefed up security since these murders, but still pending is a lawsuit from the parents accusing the campus of misrepresenting the security on campus and in the surrounding community. Reporting live from Exposition Park, Ted Chen, NBC4 News. Chuck, calling back to you.